Hello and welcome everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to mod the 8BitDo arcade stick for the Xbox. But before we start, let me fill you in on some background information. Normally when you buy an arcade stick and you want to swap out the joystick lever, it is pretty much industry standard to have a 5-pin cable inside the arcade stick. Whenever there is a 5-pin cable, it makes life very easy. Basically all you need to do is unplug the cable and plug it into your new lever. That's it. That would be a perfect scenario. Now, moving on to a less perfect scenario. You buy a new arcade stick and you want to swap out the joystick. So you remove the existing joystick and you put in your new joystick lever, and then you came to realize, hey, there is no 5-pin cable. Sometimes on arcade sticks in the lower price point, it may not come with a 5-pin cable. So what do? There's nothing to plug it into. Don't worry, in this situation, all you need to do is go online and buy yourself a 5-pin adapter cable for arcade sticks. And then check if there is a 5-pin slot for the directions. Once you locate the 5-pin slot, you want to just plug it in. After you plug it in, now you have a 5-pin cable. Now you can plug in your brand new joystick lever. And that's it. Now back to the 8BitDo. I want to talk to you a little bit about the Nintendo version because this is going to help you understand the Xbox version. When you want to swap out the joystick on the Nintendo version, you're going to realize this is not scenario 1 or scenario 2. 1. There is no 5-pin cable coming out. 2. There is no 5-pin slot for the directions. I do see the directions, but it's coming out from an 8-pin slot. So what do? Can I buy a 8-pin to a 5-pin cable? Nope. So what are we going to do? Luckily, two good things line up for us. I'll show you. Let's zoom in here. What you are looking at is an 8-pin slot originally connecting to the joystick lever with this cable. So the first good thing is that the 8-pin cable is actually the same width as the 5-pin adapter cable that we needed. It's just a little bit shorter. And as you can see, the pin distance is also the same, which means we can plug it in because all we need is just 5 pins. And the second good thing is the directions on top of the pins are in the orders that we wanted. They go in ground, left, right, down, up. So with that in mind, we can go ahead and force it in. So let's give it a shot. You want to wiggle a little bit. It goes in, and then you want to plug in your arcade stick. Now onto the Xbox version. This is our main obstacle. When you want to swap out the joystick lever, you're going to realize 1. There is no 5-pin cable. 2. There is no 5-pin slot. But then you see a 8-pin slot. You're probably thinking, hey, can we do the same thing as the Nintendo version? Let's unplug it and then try the 5-pin adapter cable. We'll just need the 5 pins again. But it doesn't fit. Because if you take a closer look, the width of both connectors are actually a different size. And the pinholes are different size and the pin distance is also different. So for the Xbox version, you won't be able to plug in the 5-pin into the 8-pin slot. And to make the situation worse, if you look closely at the right side, you can see that the directions are in a different order. First, we need the directions to be at least together, but they're sandwiched by ground pins. So even if you're able to fit the 5-pin cable, the cable will not be connected to the correct pin, so it will not work. And that is the problem we have to solve today. The goal is to add a 5-pin cable to this arcade stick. Method number 1, we're going to be making our own 8-pin to 5-pin cable. For this part, you will need a 5-pin to 5-pin cable and a needle. Step 1, we're going to take the cables out of the housing. So when you pull the cable, there's something preventing it from coming out. So what you want to do is take a needle or anything that is sharp. You want to put it in between the plastic and the metal tab, basically pushing down the tab on the metal part. And then you want to maybe hold it with your other thumb and slightly pull it, it should come out gently. So it's this part, as you can see, is preventing it from coming out. So basically what we're doing is using the needle and we're kind of like pushing it down so it stays kind of flat, and then we pull it out. All right, down to the last one. And don't rush it, guys. It's gonna take some time. If it wants to come out, it will come out easily. You know, you will feel it. So for this one, yeah, I feel it halfway. So I can release the needle and then I can just like gently pull this out. Once you have removed all the cables, you will have 5 loose cables on one end and you have a 5-pin connector on the other end. And for step 2, I want you to remove the joystick lever and also unplug it. And then make sure you remove the ball top in the front because we're going to be working with the connector. So the idea here is the same thing. We want to remove the cable from the housing because we want to reuse the housing. But first, we want to remove the zip tie. This is going to make your life a lot easier. Now take your needle, and this time we're going to go from the side. So you want to go through about 2 plastics. So look like that. Because now the plastic is not touching the metal contact. So that way the tab is not stuck. So now once you have it correct, you want to slowly pull. And as you can see, the needle is moving because the pins are trying to come out. And as you can see, they have come out. And for the middle ones, you can kind of just like dig in there, you know, pry it open like that. And then pull it out maybe like one at a time. There we go. That's another one. And then for this one, you can do it from the top, I guess. That also works, if that works easier for you. This one also comes out. There we go. So either from the side or the top. And at the very end, you should have an 8-pin empty housing like this one. Step number 3, we're going to do some simple wiring. So if you take a look at this chart, I already did the homework for you, so you don't have to. If you lay your 5-pin cable completely flat on the table with the metal side facing up like this, you're gonna have 5 cables spread out. I already labeled all the directions for you. Ground, left, right, down, and up, okay? And over here, this is the 8-pin connector housing. The orientation of this chart is exactly the same as the orientation on the connector. Okay, so it's facing the same direction with the 2 things over here, with the 2 things over here in the black dot. Okay, so when you're connecting it, make sure you're connecting it to the right direction. Have you guys ever played the wiring game in Among Us? It's basically the same thing. Okay, so up goes to up, ground goes to ground, left goes to left, and so on. So some cables are going to cross each other, but it is okay. And in the end, the final result should look something like this. The wires cross, but it is okay. It is supposed to. And I just want to plug in the last wire so that way you can see it. So once you align, you can just push it in with your nails and make sure it's all the way in and make it, you know, make it tight. Because the 5-pin wire connectors are technically not supposed to go into this 8-pin housing. I think this housing is like one size down. We're just forcing it, okay? So now we have a 5-pin to 5-pin adapter cable. Alright guys, after all that work, we can now finally plug it in. Just make sure when you plug it in, the side where you see the 5 pins is facing down, alright? Down as in this way, but up as in when you're using the arcade stick. Okay, if it's not correct, it won't work. We finally did it. You did it. And now we're going to test it out. Alright, the moment of truth. Up, down, left, right, fireball, shoryuken, spin cake. Okay. There we go. And let me just show you the inside, so you know there's no tricks. See, that is the cable that we did. I hope it's focusing, and that is the, you know, the 5-pin to the 5-pin that we made. Okay. For method number 2, I'm going to invite you to review the mod video on the Nintendo version because it's technically the same thing. The only difference on this one is that you have to unplug the 3 ground wires in the middle. You want to keep the ground wire on the side because the harness that you're connecting to, the ground wire is also on the side, so it makes it easier to differentiate. So once you have done that, you just take your scissor and you cut the wires, and you will now have 5 wires, just like the video on the Nintendo version. So when you buy a Sanwa JLF, it should come with a spare 5-pin harness wire. So you're gonna follow that video and connect this to this. Here is a little diagram that I made for you to help you connect the wires. In this orientation, where you see the 5 pins facing up, laying flat on the table, the very bottom wire, the black wire, is going to be your ground. Same thing over here. This is the lever that we remove. The bottom wire is going to be the black wires. So you connect those black wires, the ground wires, together using the methods that I show you in the video, whether it's the heat shrink, the electrical tape, or the connectors, okay, whichever is available in your area. Okay, ignore the color. The color doesn't mean anything. Follow the directions. And when you're connecting the plug to the connector, make sure the 5-pin is facing left. Method number 3, soldering. This part is very straightforward, so I'm also going to invite you to review the mod video on the Nintendo version. The orientation is the same, the directions are the same. Basically, all you need to do is strip down the wires and then solder them to the corresponding soldering points. So when you open up the arcade stick, you're gonna see the directions right underneath the soldering point. So just connect them to the corresponding directions from the 5-pin cable. Once you finish, and just make sure your joystick lever is also facing the left. In conclusion, I think this video could have been 5 minutes, but I wanted to make it a longer video because I wanted to explain to you guys in detail. I wanted you guys to understand the background information. I want you to understand the why. That way you will fully understand it. So you'll be able to figure out things in the future and be able to solve problems when they come up. So I hope you learned something new, and don't be afraid to experiment new things. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe is always helpful for a small channel. I don't have sponsors. If you guys need anything, if you don't mind, use the links in the description. It won't cost you extra, but it helps the channel out. I really appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys on the next video.